Picture this. You're in front of your latest prospect, closing the biggest deal of your life. Your pitch decks were perfect. Your scripts, flawless. And when the time came to answer the golden question of, are you ready to move forward? Nothing happened. For everyone who loves sales, this is their worst nightmare. But fear not, because in this podcast, we're unraveling the enigma behind those missed opportunities. From appointments that evaporate to presentations that felt like a Broadway show but ended in awkward silence, we're dissecting it all. Welcome to Love Your Sales.
This podcast is presented by Genhead. Genhead leverages AI so small and medium-sized businesses can find their ideal clients to make more sales. Other companies talk about AI, but we are using it every day to drive down marketing costs and increase revenue. Learn more at genhead.com. That's genhead.com.
Welcome to another episode of Love Your Sales. I am joined by Patrick Riley, President and CEO of Genhead. Genhead provides their clients with buyer-ready leads through a unique combination of their proprietary AI engine and advanced marketing automation. Pat also has 30 plus years in sales spanning industries from manufacturing, distribution, and technology as a producer and in senior leadership roles. Pat, I am so thrilled to have you join me today and talk about sales.
Well, thank you, Leanne. It's great to see you, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, well, why don't you, again, tell us just a little bit more about yourself before we dive in and, hopefully give the audience a little gold nugget of information.
Well, I love talking about myself. I've been in sales, right? We love talking about ourselves. It's the first thing they teach you in sales is that people love talking about themselves. But I am a senior sales leader, and I have been around the block, as they say. I started out in manufacturing, and I enjoyed that very, very much. I sold so much that they gave me part of the company. And we grew that company from a very small company to a good sized medium company, and then sold out. And then I got into industrial distribution on an international scale, and was promoted into an international role, which I thought sounded great until I realized that when you are an international salesperson, that means you have to actually go to international places. And I got tired of that very quickly with 4 small children at home. And so I looked again to get into small business and got into a technology company in Wisconsin with locations in Appleton, Madison, and Milwaukee. And we became the largest IT training company in the state. And I recently sold that in 2023, and we started Genhead, which is in a very exciting adventure into AI lead generation and marketing automation. And it's become very successful very quickly. So very thrilled about that.
Yes, and Genhead is our official sponsor of Love Your Sales. So Pat, I'm extremely thrilled that I get to not only have you as a sponsor of Love Your Sales, but also get to have you on and talk to you a little bit about sales and what has, created your success. So thank you for, being that first sponsor of ours.
Absolutely. And we're happy to do so. You're doing good work here, and that's what's important. And one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was the concept and the importance of putting the customer first. Mm-hmm. And I think that too many of us in what I call the front-facing roles, and that includes sales, obviously, But it also encompasses marketing, customer service, technical service, even if you're in a manufacturing or an industrial or a technical kind of a company. But essentially, anyone that touches a customer is front facing.
Mhm.
That they really need to always put themselves in that customer's shoes and always think of them first. And when they do that, success will come. And I see so many people that are front facing that think of only the end game of what they can gain from that client purchasing something from them
Right.
instead of thinking of what's best for that customer.
And you make a very valid point in where a lot of salespeople get so hung up that trying to force that sale, that through that process, they're not listening. They're not hearing the needs. They're not identifying what that client, that customer, that person, I mean, if you're just meeting somebody for a moment, that could eventually turn into a client. Their sale, you said it earlier, I'm a salesperson. I love to talk, right? We 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 become salespeople because we know how to talk. We know how to get in front of somebody. We know how to almost entertain in a way. We're entertaining
Mhm.
somebody, but then we forget, how do we shut up and listen?
Right. Well, and what do we do with the information? So, so are we hearing or are we listening? Is a very important thing. So, if we're hearing someone, what we're doing is we're taking that information and we're twisting it for our own good. Okay. If we're listening to someone, then we're taking that information and we're applying it as if we are that client and we're putting ourselves in their shoes and saying, what would I do if I were the client? And we've got to, we, the best, the very, very best front facing people do that. And it always works out for them.
Hmm.
I never have trouble closing sales because they just happen. When I'm working with clients, and I'm obviously doing that now with our I'll still call it a startup with Genhead. I'm on the front lines and working with clients on a day-to-day basis. And I put myself in their shoes with their budget, with their goals, with their needs.
Hmm.
And I ask myself, what is best for them? And sometimes it means not spending as much money with us as I may have been able to get from them, because that's what's best for them right now.
Right.
And long term, I know it's going to work out better for us because we're going to have a client longer.
You're going to have a client for life, a client who
Right,
trusts you, a client who's going to turn around and send you other clients.
right, right. And that's the long game. That's what great salespeople do. Because that person that I have put myself in their position is now going to say, I've got a really good person who does my marketing and does my AI lead generation, and I'm going to tell people about Genhead, and I'm going to share that story, and we have that happening right now. We've got a person in Florida who is sending us sending us so many people that we're having trouble keeping up with Mike down in Florida, and he's doing a great job for us, and God love him, and uh, and so and it has to do with empathy and with reality of what you know about your product or service,
Mhm.
and then what you've learned about the person who's sitting across from you. And if you don't know enough about the person sitting across from you, you haven't asked the right questions.
Right.
And
And
you
that,
need to back up. You need to back up, and you need to even kind of start over again a little bit.
right. It, and that goes into, people ask all the time, well, Leanne, how do you overcome objections? I said, well, if you're truly getting to the root of what that person needs, wants, desires, what their end goal is, you should be eliminating those objections all along that process, because
Mhm.
if you're truly understanding, they're not going to have any.
Right.
Well, they may have,
They'll have some.
questions, they'll have
Yeah,
some,
they'll have questions. Right. Of
but
course.
you're going to be able to identify them as you're having that conversation. And so when you get to that point of, are you ready to buy? They're going to go, yep, I'm pretty sure you've covered absolutely everything, because you're systematically through that conversation, truly understanding and truly getting to the root of what are the three major things that people come: money, what is it, logistics, and fear. Those are the three things: money, fear, and logistics. Do I have the money? Is this going to work? The fear driven,
Right.
how is the, do I trust them? Do I not? Well, that one should be, you should be building that from the moment you meet them, the fear of the unknown, that type of thing. And then logistics. How do we implement this? How is this going to happen? How do
Time
we make
element.
this work?
Right.
Time elements, all of that. And those are just a matter of, well, let's work through all of that. But if you are addressing those three main points throughout the entire conversation, and that person comes to trust and understand you, and you come to understand everything about that client, and you become the trusted advisor and not the salesperson.
Right. Then at the end, the question that I always ask is, are we ready to move forward?
Correct.
That's 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 my great magical poof, close
Your
is
your hard closer,
my
right?
big hammer, you know, is, are we ready to move forward? And if they say yes, terrific. This is what we have to do next. I need a check and I need a signature, or I need whatever it might be.
Right.
Um, and they just go, okay, yeah, that's what we have to do, because I
Mhm.
want this thing or process or whatever it might be. And it's just the next natural step. But in order to get there, you must have what I've learned to call a servant's heart. And it's the way that I manage people. It's the way that I work with clients.
Mhm.
It's the way that I work with, even our suppliers. Everybody that I interact with on a business level, I try to serve first. And Zig Ziglar, God rest his soul, who I think was one of the funniest and best sales motivators. If people want to go back to watching some of Zig Ziglar's videos, you will both laugh and learn at the same time, because he was a funny guy. But he said, that a person will get everything they want in life by giving others what they want in life. And he is exactly correct.
Mhm.
So I try to work on giving others what they want and what they need. And by doing so, it comes around. And I'm 55 years old. I'm not afraid to say that I've been around the block a little bit. And I'm telling you, it works. And
Mhm.
maybe it doesn't work in an hour, maybe it doesn't work in a day, but it does work, because
Right.
people come to trust you, they come to like you, and they will refer you. And those references are powerful, far more powerful even than what I can do with AI, which is amazing. But a personal reference of one person to another, a coworker or someone in another company or someone in another industry,
Hmm.
whatever it might be, is absolute gold.
Absolutely. And I think back, when you say that, I think back to when I originally got into sales, and, somebody goes, "Oh, go to this networking and go, the goal is to get 2 sales and as many business cards as you can." And I remember the pains that I felt when I was in this first networking meeting I ever went to. And I thought, oh my God, this is horrific. And I'm sure people have heard this story. It was horrible because I was
Yeah.
told to do it wrong. And when I
Yeah.
was told to do it wrong, it was the most painstaking, even for an extrovert who loves being around people, but nobody wanted to talk to me because they would approach
Right.
me and I'm like, here's my product, blah. And they're like, ugh, get away from this girl. When you approach somebody with the idea that I don't want to take anything from you. I want to help you. I want to,
Yeah. What can I
how
do
can
for
I
you?
help? What can I do
Yep.
from you for you today? That mentality has paid dividends for me year after year after year. There are people that I met 10 years ago that for some reason I've connected with on LinkedIn that have remembered me, that have come back and said, "Oh, I'm so glad that we've connected again because XYZ, or you did this for me." And I'm like, I I I, I don't but it meant something to them at that time. And the same goes for me. There are people who did something for me that I go back to and I'll say, "You did this for me then. How can I help you now?" And it goes back and forth. And that's for the younger, new salespeople coming in. That is the greatest advice that I was given, was give first and ask for nothing in return. Selflessly give. It will come back to you. And
Yeah.
yes, is there a long game in that? For There is, but you have to
Now,
wholeheartedly be able to, because you do build a community of people who go, wow, she's
now
very
let's
selfless
make
in that.
let's make a couple to the new salespeople. Let's make a couple things clear. You
Yeah.
still have to make the calls.
Yes.
You still have to whatever your industry is, you have to do the outreach.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, maybe it's email, maybe it's LinkedIn, maybe it's AI, maybe it's the phone, maybe whatever it might be, you have to be the one to instigate the conversation. So you don't get to get lazy doing it this way. Let's
No.
just be clear here. So this is not a shortcut. This is just the truth of what you can do. Because what I'm really trying to share with people here today is what I consider to be the difference between good and great.
Hmm.
Because you can be good without having a servant's heart. I've worked with people who will just pound the phones or whatever it might be in your industry, and they make so many calls that they get X number of sales every month or every year, whatever it might be, and they do just fine, you know,
Hmm.
every year, and they make a living, and everybody's happy, and the beat goes on, but they'll never be great.
Right.
They'll always be good. And you know what? An organization needs people that are just plain good.
Hmm.
People you can rely on, people you can count on, people that you know are going to hit their quota. They're never going to blow up their quota, but they're never going to fall down on their face either. And
Right.
every organization knows who those people are,
Right.
right? But to be perfectly blunt, in my career, I never once had a quota. Not once. Because I blew it. I would blow up numbers so fast
Right.
that when I had a boss, they wouldn't even bother with a quota because I would just blow up. I would just explode. and I would beat everybody because that's what I looked at was who was number
Right.
one, and then I'm going to beat him because I didn't care about anybody else, but who was number one and how much could I beat him by, and that's internal motivation. But my external execution of that was to be a servant.
Mhm.
So you can be very competitive, okay, on the inside, and I am, okay, um, but but be a servant to people in your execution,
Right.
and those two things can work together.
And I'm gonna say that the majority of the greats have a very high level of competitiveness. Often it is not, it is a self-driven competition. It's not, I'm going to beat that person. I'm going to beat that person. It is often, I'm going to see what that number is, and I am going to set that bar high for myself. Because, like you, I've gone into companies and they're like, okay, this is the number that you should beat this year. This is the number that you should be at this year. And I'm like, yeah, okay. And I'm at the number I should be in year 2 and year 1. And they're like, oh, okay. And then they'll come to me, what do you think you can do in production this year? And I'm like, well, I'm going to be here. And they're like, okay. And then they come to me and go, so where do you think the other salespeople should be? And I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah,
Probably closer to me if they're doing everything they're supposed to be doing. But that's my own personal competitiveness that I don't want to be just okay at what I do. But I do that in everything in my life because I've just, I was a sports player in high school. And in my family, it wasn't really my family. I just grew up with that. You know, I had 2 older brothers. I'm going to beat them. I used to think I was going to be older than them one day. One day I'm going to be older than you. I'm going to be taller than you. Well, that
you
was
don't
just
understand how physics work, do you, Leanne? You
not
missed
when,
that part in
not,
school.
not when I was 5, but it's that competitiveness, that competitive nature
Right,
that many salespeople have, it's that internal competitiveness that you can't, not all of them. Some of them, kind of like, okay, yeah, I'm happy with just meeting this quota. But the ones that you see just take off and just are constantly rocking it, it's usually an internal compass where they're like, I'm not okay with just meeting my quota. I want to
right,
be, if my quota is 1 million in sales, I want to be at 1,500,000, or I want to be at 2 million, because that's where, and even
right.
though their
And those
boss is
guys,
happy,
and
they're
I
not.
shouldn't say those guys, those people, I wouldn't even give them a quota.
Right.
I didn't want to hold them back. I would just say, you don't have one.
Just
Your quota is the moon.
right. And then they go,
And
oh,
and
okay.
and when they would hit certain numbers, I would just show up with $100 bills and throw them on their lap. I would, and just randomly, just
Right.
because they'd hit a certain number, and I would just come by. I'd just stop at the bank and get, $1,000 or 2,000
Right.
bucks and $100 bills, and I just go, here you go, here's a few for you and a few for you and a few for you,
Right.
and just randomly on a Thursday, you know,
But
because greatness recognizes greatness, right? and
right.
and those couple $1,000 goes a long way
Right.
for people who are competitive.
Right. Yet, even though I have that wild competitiveness, it's not about beating somebody else. For me, it's about beating my own. And often, it has kicked me in the butt where I'm like, okay, I set the bar too high for myself this year. I'm like riddled with anxiety, and my bosses are going, hey, you did a really great job this year. And I'm like, yeah, it wasn't good enough. Okay. Yes, that is my internal flaw.
Yeah,
That,
that's a
my
thing.
own.
That's a
That's a thing.
thing.
It is a thing. And I'm not saying, by all means, I don't want my audience to mistake. I am not saying that that is what it takes to be great. What it takes to be great is in my opinion, is a balance between always pushing yourself to be better and always, always looking to serve your clients first and serve your
Right.
community first, because that is what people recognize in those in other people. Those are the
One of the,
characteristics.
yeah, yeah. One of the things that I always would say to people is that you push yourself and you pull others.
Absolutely. Really
So
well said.
you push you. So you're pushing yourself to be self-motivated, right? You're
Yep.
pushing yourself to make the calls, pushing yourself to make the numbers, pushing yourself to do the work, but you're pulling others up.
Yep.
You're pulling others with you. You're pulling others to give you information to help them.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can do those two things, they're and I know your listeners can't see me, but I'm doing a balancing thing here with my hands, right? If you can keep those two things in balance, you will be great.
Absolutely.
You
And
will be great.
that is something that I've thought about. And if I could just pull, because I've been a mentor to, many other salespeople. People have come to, how do you do? And I'm like, God, if I could just wrap my arms around you and pull you up with me, but I can't do the work for you.
Right.
There's that certain point where it's like, I can, you can lead a horse to water. You can't make him drink.
Yeah.
But that is the true servant leader as well. To be a true leader, you have to want others to succeed as much as you are succeeding. You have to truly be able to put in the time and give them your true attention to allow them to level up on themselves and also cheer for them. And Pat, that is part of why obviously you went from producer to leader, because that is again a characteristic of
Characteristic even.
just like tongue tied over here. But that's a characteristic of a true leader, not a manager, a leader, of somebody who's saying, yeah, I'm on the up, I'm trending up, but I want to take you all with me. I don't want to
Right.
leave you behind. Let's go. Let's all go together.
And as a leader, the other side of that coin, Leanne, is that by doing that, you are giving up your time that you could be spending either sharpening your saw, meaning learning something new or getting better at something, or producing for the company, which would help you financially.
Mhm.
So you by helping others uh, uh, pull up, you were sacrificing your own production. You're sacrificing
Right.
essentially, some of your own pocket. And
Mhm.
again, that is part of being a servant leader, is that you're willing to sacrifice some of your own personal gain so that others may succeed.
Right.
If you're not willing to do that, then don't be a leader.
Right. Yes. And
Don't
that's
if they offer you if you're not willing to do that and they offer you a promotion to a management or a leadership position and you're not willing to do that, don't take it.
right. And
Stay in a production position and just produce.
right. And to your point on that, and we're getting to time, but I just want to say this, because so often mistakes are made that people think, well, if I don't accept, especially in the sales roles, well, if I don't accept this position, they're going to think that, I don't think I'm good enough, or I'm not good enough, or people think they have to accept.
Always.
And here's
Yeah,
the thing.
there's a natural tendency that if you're offered a promotion and you turn it down, First of all, you'll never be offered a promotion again,
Correct.
right?
And
Secondly, you won't be looked at as a company person,
right.
right? So
And
what you have to do is explain your way through it. You have to say,
right.
I'm in a position right now where I don't feel that I'm a leader of others, and that my best place for this organization is for me to continue to produce at a high level.
Right. And so many salespeople think they can move from producer to leader, and then they tank their career, or they don't do well, and then they end up having to leave the company because they
Right.
feel like, I don't have a choice. I can't move back, or people will think I failed. But so many salespeople don't realize the stress that it takes to move from salesperson, producer to leader of others. And there have been times in my career where I have said, no, I am not taking this role. I just want to produce. And they've pushed it and pushed it. Okay, well, if you won't be the manager, will you just be a mentor? No, it's the same thing, except I don't get the pay raise.
Except I don't get any money, right? No, and you have to if you don't take a promotion, there has to be a good rationale that again this is a servant thing. We're going
Right,
back to the servant thing, okay? All you're doing is you're being a servant to the person who offered you the promotion.
right,
And here's how it plays out. I am not taking this promotion because it is best for the company.
correct.
I
Yes,
am not taking this promotion because I don't think that I don't believe in my heart that I would be good at it. And I believe in my heart that the best thing for this company is for me to continue to produce at a high level, and that will make the company more money, and for someone else to take the role of manager.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. That was really, really well said. And Pat, here's opportunity as we're coming to time. Again, such wonderful information, such great insight. 30-second shameless pitch. Here you go.
Oh, I get a shameless pitch. Well, I guess I'll start at the beginning that every business needs new customers. That's where we start. And what we have done is we have created a proprietary AI engine that allows us to work with our clients one on one, defining their ideal customer profile and using AI to find those nuggets, those perfect customer prospects just for them, that are perfect for whatever business that they're in, whatever service that they're in, whether it's B2B or B2C, doesn't matter. And we narrow that bandwidth down to a very narrow group of potential prospects, and then we market to them in a way that adds value to that prospect group. And we are seeing returns on that where we're seeing click rates, not open rates, click rates in the 48 to 50% range on first emails. And we just saw it this week, even this close to Christmas. And so it's tremendous. And so these kinds of returns in terms of marketing automation are helping our clients grow new opportunities at an accelerated rate, leveraging AI, leveraging our marketing automation. And then finally, we have a customer relationship experience software as a service package that brings this all together with CRM tools, sales tools, marketing tools, website tools, AI bots, all sorts of things that's very affordable for a small business to a medium sized business. And it all comes together in a way that helps our clients improve their sales processes. So from AI all the way to sales process, we are bridging that gap and helping our customers succeed. And it is very exciting. I have to tell you, I'm just thrilled with the results. And we're seeing a lot of customers just grow like crazy. So it's very
Excellent.
cool.
And how would somebody reach out to you?
You can go to www.genhead.com. Or you can just, you know what? I'm just going to tell them to pick up the phone and call me. That's how crazy I am. 920-205-3589. That is my direct phone number. I will put that on a podcast.
Okay.
That is a shameless plug right there, Leanne.
Yes, it is,
So
Pat.
genhead.com is where you can start and you can learn about us. But you can call the CEO yourself, and I'd be happy to talk to you.
Pat, again, thank you. This has been an awesome conversation. I really appreciate your time and I appreciate your sponsorship.
Absolutely, Leanne. And we are happy to be a part of what you're doing. You're doing a great job.
Thanks for joining us for Love Your Sales. For more, connect with Leanne on LinkedIn and be sure to subscribe to the show and leave us a rating and review. We'd love to hear what you think. Looking for a way to take your sales process to the next level? Visit us at loveyoursales.com to find out more about how Leanne can take your organization to new revenue heights. And be sure to join us next time for more great ways to love your customers so they love your sales.